Russell Jones lived in Iceland in the town of Akraines. He was shocked to find a lost boy in the cold bush near his house one night. When he found out the truth about the boy in the morning, his hands shook. Russell didn't know how much snow had piled up in his garden overnight, but he wanted to go outside. He opened his front door in the late afternoon and took a deep breath. There was a light breeze on his face. What got the old man more excited was his daily walk with his dog Spike, his best friend and loyal partner. They always went out at exactly 6 p.m. There was more than 8 inches of snow on the ground after the storm, but the dog went ahead of him, as if to clear the way and lead the walk. Everyone could see how much Russell loved and trusted his little dog. It was only Spike who made him feel safe, and he was his only friend. Following the death of his wife and his only daughter Holly, the old man had no one else to turn to. When Russell's wife got pregnant, both of Holly's parents were already over 40 years old. She was a real blessing in their lives. They had a hard time getting pregnant, and just as they thought they had given up, the doctor told them that his wife was pregnant. It was the last bit of hope they had. Holly became a smart, well-educated girl who went to good schools and got good grades. She behaved well and was easy to get along with. She had a beautiful way of talking to her parents and people in general. But things started to change for the family while she was in college. They were about to end the fairy tale they had been living. The nice nights turned into stressed mornings when Holly's parents had no idea where their daughter was or who she was with because they hadn't heard from her overnight. Over time, her good grades got worse and worse. All of a sudden, Holly went from being kind and soft to being stubborn and full of herself. She started going to parties without permission and wasn't talking to her parents very often. This change didn't just happen though. There was a reason for it. In fact, Holly's new behavior had a name: Devon Wallace. Her parents thought that her boyfriend was the real cause of her behavior changes and the mess her young life was becoming. Devon had never worked before, and he failed 3 years in a row in school. At a hockey game, he won Holly's heart when he scored a goal and dedicated it to the most beautiful girl in the crowd. Before, Russell and his wife didn't mind when boys took their daughter out, but they knew right away that this troublemaker was not a good choice. Since they started going out together, Holly didn't want to study, work, or even spend time with her parents. She only wanted to have fun and see new places, which the small town of Akraines in Iceland didn't give her. That's why, when she turned 18, she left her parents and took a chance on traveling the world with her boyfriend Devon. Of course, he was the one who planned the whole trip. At a young age, her parents tried to make her see sense, but now that she was an adult, she could make her own choices and no one could stop her. With a cold wave, she said goodbye to her parents as Devon's car drove away from the small house where they lived. Russell gave his wife a light hug, as if to say everything would be okay. She felt sad. Things did not go well for the family though. Less than 4 years later, they got a terrible letter that would change their lives forever. Both of her parents tried to get in touch with her while she was away, but they never heard back. After a while, they got a letter on her behalf. They were excited to open the envelope, but their joy quickly faded when they saw what was inside. Their daughter had died in a very bad car accident when she was going back home from a party with her boyfriend Devon. It didn't say what caused the accident, but it did say the driver of the car was drunk. The couple did not know it at the time, but a few months later, the terrible details were revealed. Devon admitted before a judge that he was drunk, and he took responsibility for the accident. Russell received the news as if it were his own death. Ever since his daughter had left home, they had not heard from her. He had lost his zest for life and fallen into depression. He kept hoping that one day she would grow up, become wiser, and possibly even return. However, with the news of her death, sadness settled in even more, and the couple's crying became commonplace. His wife was admitted to the hospital about 3 months later and died suddenly of a heart attack. The doctor could not explain with certainty what led to the fatal outcome, but Russell was sure that the stress and trauma his wife had experienced were significant contributing factors. It is difficult to imagine how Russell's life might have been from that point on, if it were not for his faithful companion Spike. Russell found himself rummaging through garbage cans near his house one day and adopted him, giving the elderly man a reason to wake up every morning once again. And now, while walking his dog, Russell was able to forget his troubles. But on this particular day, Spike suddenly raised his ears and began to run ahead. Russell thought that it might be a squirrel or a fox that had caught Spike's attention. However, when he took his time to return, the old man followed his trail to see where he was. And when he saw what it was, it gave him such a fright that he almost fainted. He never imagined he would be seeing a scene like this. A boy, about 7, was standing under a tree, stroking Spike's head without any fear or concern. However, when he noticed Russell standing there, he was startled and immediately flinched. "Easy, don't be afraid, young man." "How did you get here?" Russell asked him. His question was clearly well-founded. After all, the two were in the middle of a forest, and night was falling. The temperature was approaching freezing. The boy did not answer. He just lowered his head and started to back away. At this point, Russell noticed that he had marks on his face, as if he had run into a tree trunk or branch. "Look, it's okay if you don't want to talk to me, but night is falling, and this is a dangerous place for a child. If you want, you can follow Spike and me back home." The boy looked suspicious, but he didn't have many options, so he accepted the old man's invitation. Back at his cabin, Russell lit the fireplace and served him hot chocolate and cookies, which he devoured quickly. He was clearly not very comfortable. He kept looking to the sides, as if afraid that someone was coming or something might appear. The old man noticed his concern and tried to coax more information from him, asking what his name is, where he lived, and who his parents were. However, silence was the boy's main response. When Russell realized he wasn't going to speak, he prepared the guest room and showed the boy to it so he could spend the night. After a few hours of good rest, the sun rose again, illuminating a new day and renewing a life. The little boy opened the door and sat down at the table to enjoy the breakfast the old man had prepared for him soon after the meal at 6:42. At 6:44, Russell tried again to talk with him, even though he didn't expect to hear an answer. But to his surprise, finally, words came out of the boy's mouth. "My name is Theo, and I lived a short distance away with my father. I left home for a walk, and I think I walked too far and got lost. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner, but I was afraid," he said. Russell was happy to finally hear Theo's voice and said that everything was fine. He asked where his father's house was so he could take him back. However, the boy was anxious, and it was only after much persistence that he gave details of where his home was. Russell put on his boots, packed the boy a lunchbox with small snacks, and they headed off in the direction he had indicated. After 40 minutes of walking, they finally reached Theo's home. Russell thought that his worried father would be there to meet him. He rang the bell and knocked on the door, but no one answered. He planned to arrive early so he could meet Theo's father before work. "He must be sleeping like he always does," Theo said. But he didn't say much else. Russell saw that the door was unlocked and chose to go inside. The door opened when he turned the knob. In this situation, he usually would not go inside someone else's house in this way, but he thought it was okay, so he went inside to find the child's guardian. As soon as he walked in, he saw the dust and trash that were covering everything. There were empty booze bottles, pizza boxes, and cans of food that were lying around everywhere. When Russell slowly walked in, he saw a man laying on the couch in the middle of the mess. Not only did the room smell like booze, but so did the man who was lying there. The boy said, "That's him. That's my dad." Russell was shocked. The man on the couch woke up before the child could decide what to do. "What is this? How did you get into my house? Who are you? You old fool, how did you get in here?" The first thing he said to Russell made him sound angry and restless. Russell was very calm and polite as he told him what had happened and how he found his lost son in the forest. He said he only came in because the knocks and bell wasn't being answered. "What? That pest got away again?" he said in a low voice. It was clear that Theo's father didn't even know that his son had been in danger the day before. Russell wasn't sure what to think about this. How can someone lose their son and not know it? He grabbed him and was yelling at his son Theo and slapping him hard across the face. Russell could not take it any longer, so he stepped in between Theo and his father to stop this. He now knew that the marks that he had seen on the boy's arms and face earlier were not from slipping on branches or running into tree trunks. The old man was getting more angry. "What are you doing?" he asked. "The fact that you broke into my house and took the boy is enough. You want to tell me how to raise my son now? You better go, old man, or I'll teach you a lesson too," he said. Russell did not move at all. He was keeping little Theo safe. The man kept his word and punched his way through while knocking Russell backwards. In a hurry, he ran straight into the kitchen where Russell could hear the sounds of drawers being emptied. Then he realized what a bad mistake it had been to go into the house, and he made up his mind to leave right away. He ran out of the house without stopping, but took Leo's hand and pulled him along. Russell couldn't believe what he had just seen. He could understand everything now. Theo did not get lost while walking. After his drunk father hit him again, it was clear he tried to run away. That awful person was not worth another day with Theo. The little boy would rather take a chance in the frozen wild at night. And Russell had every right to be worried for the little boy. He couldn't trust someone who was so cruel to his son like that, right? After everything that had happened, they went back to the cabin in the woods and tried to calm down together. It was the third time that Theo had asked to spend the night there. He begged Russell not to take him back there. "Theo, don't worry. I'll do everything I can to make sure you never see that monster again," Russell said. "Now I get it all." Russell gave Theo a tight hug as he was crying. The next day, the old man took Theo to the police station. It was February 12, 2009. He told them everything he knew and what he had seen. Theo made a statement and was checked out to make sure his injuries were real. He told him that his dad would beat him badly if he got near his stuff, and things got even worse when he was drunk. He even said his father was very aggressive and dangerous, and he was drunk almost every night. They identified his father. His name was Sebastian Gibson. On the same day, his father was searched with a warrant during an operation by the police station. Theo had already been asked about his dad's work supplies, and he honestly and naively gave the cops more information. He didn't know it, but what he said led to a bigger investigation than normal, which happens a lot when there is domestic violence. Officers found what they had been looking for months during the raid. Russell saw a lot of dirt and clutter in the house. He also learned that one of the rooms was full of cell phones, card cloning machines, and other things that could be used to fake documents and pull scams. Lots of fake lottery tickets were used to get old people to give out their bank information. The police arrested Sebastian, and when they found Russell standing next to one of the cars, he knew who did it. Russell didn't say anything. He just looked at him, sad and disgusted. The cops found Sebastian was hiding him from his dead mother's sister, who was given care of Theo. She had only met him once, when he was only a baby and his mother was still alive. Theo's father wouldn't let him talk to his mother's family, and when people tried to get in touch with him, he fought back violently as to not raise suspicions about his criminal life. Things went well in Theo's new life. His aunt liked having him around, and Russell and Spike went to see him a lot. He became very close with his family, and they were very thankful for everything he had done. As a result, they started having him over almost every weekend and holiday. This gave Russell and Theo a second chance to be happy.